flawless. I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special.
I say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, I mean, what else do you gotta do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion.
Hey man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So, skillful, yes. But this and this.
Fighters are scared of Terence Crawford because of a number of insane reasons. Roy Jones Jr. even mentioned that Canelo looked nervous standing across from him. In their face-off, what makes Crawford frightening is not just his skill, but the way he stays calm while reading. Every move, he rarely gets it clean and punishes mistakes with perfect timing, leaving opponents feeling like they have no way to win.
And that stare down that we talked about when I told you either he's not ready for this or he's trying to Bud. He wasn't trying to little boy Bud. He really was afraid, well, not afraid, but he was worried about Bud. And Bud knew that. And Bud being the older guy, Bud kind of looked him in his eye and made him turn away first. That was a victory for Bud. That was Bud's first victory. Anytime that happens, if something else don't come around or something else don't happen to undo that, you got a problem.
Pauli Malignaggi emphasized how one of the most impressive boxing records was earned by Terence Crawford. It is nearly unheard of in contemporary boxing for him to become an unchallenged champion 3 times. And he accomplished this by taking on the biggest names instead of picking easier battles. In addition to his victories, Crawford's ability to evade punishment, rarely receiving a clean hit despite overpowering opponents, was what Pauli found most impressive. His professional background speaks for itself. 31 knockouts, 41 victories, and no defeats. Pauli called this run historic and noted that Crawford's most recent victory versus Canelo was not merely another win. Like Floyd Mayweather previously dominated his era, it seemed to him like the beginning of a new one. According to Pauli, Crawford has now established himself as his generation's defining character.
Flawless. I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special. It's one of those things now, because now I've now seen back-to-back generations of Floyd Mayweather and Bud Crawford, and man, you know, it's one of those things where now I understand why the people that lived in the Ray Leonard era say, you know, oh, wish we could see Ray Leonard against Mayweather and how that would be. Because it just leaves such an empty feeling when you have such special fighters that were in different generations, and you saw both of them. You know, I saw the entirety of the Mayweather generation. I saw the entirety of the Bud Crawford generation. Just incredible. Really, really incredible. And I know Mayweather gets a lot of hate, but for me, he's a tremendous fighter. And Terence Bud Crawford is in that realm as well. And it's a fight we'll never get to see. So what are we going to do, you know? It'll be up to the fantasy fights, you know. But let's get into it, man. I want to get into the undercard as well and some of my thoughts on the Netflix show. But let's get into the main event first. Crawford really boxed very, very well, very, very intelligently. The question mark was what happens when Crawford gets hit cleanly. I'm not sure he got hit cleanly at the whole fight. You know, he got hit with some partial shots. Some shots landed cleanly, but by the time Canelo started landing anything cleanly, I think he was hesitant because he was getting countered so much that he was taking some of the steam off the shots in order to hope to be more accurate. Because even late in the fight, there were a couple of shots that Canelo landed, but they barely moved.
Brian talked on how amazing it was to see Terence Crawford fight Canelo, adding that he had hardly ever witnessed such a harmony between attack and defense in contemporary boxing. In the majority of bouts, a boxer is strong in one area and weak in the other. Crawford, however, displayed both with amazing acuity. He demonstrated against Canelo that he could not only nullify strikes with his deft footwork and tight guard, but also quickly transition into attack to take advantage of any opening. According to Brian, this type of comprehensive bundle is what distinguishes Crawford stands out from other champions due to his ability to neutralize an opponent's weaponry while gaining momentum of his own. He thought it was amazing to see a fighter not only avoid damage, but also skillfully and calmly defeat a top opponent.
See, I think that for me, I watch defense as much as I watch offense. So, yeah, like I thought, like watching Bud catch those shots off his glove.
He looked amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. He'd go to a body and he'd catch that and come up with an uppercut. You know, just all those things that seem.
He looked great.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that to ever.
No one has. Yeah, he's the best.
Canelo.
Yeah, he's the best.
And I think he would do that to Canelo on his best day. And Canelo said it. He goes, I couldn't figure him out.
No.
Which is why he probably won't fight him again. You know?
They'll fight again.
You think so?
The payday, yeah. But so you're gonna get Canelo because the money's in Canelo Crawford, the rematch.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it, but I want Crawford to get paid, so might as well do it.
Crawford was praised by Andre Ward, who described him as the most proficient fighter among his contemporaries. Crawford's mindset was emphasized by Ward, who was a skilled mechanic in his own time and claimed that Terence would stop at nothing to accomplish his goals. The only way to defeat a fighter like Crawford, in Ward's opinion, is to actually injure him in the ring. Tactical maneuvers by themselves will never be sufficient. Crawford's versatility, ability to change positions, and capacity for quick thinking make him one of the few fighters who can enforce their will under any circumstances. Crawford's success is not coincidental, according to Ward's perspective. It is a result of perseverance, grit, and an unwavering dedication to conquering obstacles.
Somebody that, like, I can bet the house on is Bud.
Who's the most skilled fighter today?
Bud is definitely one of them, for sure. Me and him, we so much alike in our mentality. Like, soon as I see this dude, he come in the room or I come in the room, we start arguing about basketball, wrestling, anything, bro. Like, man, you can't, man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So, skillful, yes. But this and this, it's different, man.
Crawford's path has also been profoundly influenced by his family. He frequently talks about how his father instilled faith in him at a young age by predicting that he would one day become an undisputed world champion, while his mother was doubtful but never completely convinced he would succeed. That doubt fueled him rather than deterred him. The want to disprove was always present when Crawford entered the ring. He eventually won his mother's pride in addition to realizing his father's dream with each victory and title. He looks back on that voyage with contentment today. He is pleased that his family has respected and validated his success.
My dad used to tell my mom I was going to be a world champ.
I told him,
how'd that make you feel? It filled me with rage. And every time I stepped foot in the ring or anything that I ever did, I just wanted to win so bad so I can prove a point to her.
I paid the kids, I said, if y'all can whoop Bud, I give y'all $10 a piece. Couldn't whoop.
You went out on the street.
Yeah.
What's now Bud Crawford Street.
Yeah.
And offered $10 to anyone who can kick my son's butt.
Yep.
And a lot of takers.
Yeah,
no
kids in the neighborhood. Couldn't nobody whoop them.
What did he tell you then?
He told you, Mom, I told you I'm the best.
Crawford discusses career choices, stating that he never aimed to go undisputed at 154 pounds because he did not observe enough competitive bouts in that weight class. Being uncontested, in his opinion, entails defeating the greatest opponents in addition to accumulating belts. He took the risky decision to look for opportunities at 168 rather than remaining at 154 because he feels there are more formidable names and greater difficulties that might further solidify his legacy. Crawford's determination to push himself to higher weight classes demonstrates his confidence in doing so, guaranteeing that a career will always be characterized by ambition and risk-taking rather than ease and quick victories.
Has being undisputed at 154 ever crossed your mind at this point that you at in your career?
Not at all, because I'm looking at the landscape of the 154-pound division. There's a lot of great fighters, but there's not a lot of defining fights at 154. There's not a lot of legacy fights at 154. You know, when I'm looking at the landscape of 154, I beat, what's his name?
Majimov? No, 154?
No. The champion that just knocked out Tim Tszyu.
Oh, Bachram. Yeah.
Okay, so Bachram, they're going to say, who is Bachram?
Facts.
He knocked out Tim Tszyu that already had losses.
What would you do with Fedora, though?
But Fedora already been knocked out.
Yeah, he did.
So, along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments just off of pure hate.
Crawford has also taken the time to display the titles he has won, not as meaningless boasting, but as an example of what years of commitment and diligence have produced for him. Each belt symbolizes the hardships and sacrifices made in addition to the success. For him, bearing those titles serves as a reminder to both admirers and detractors that he did not inherit anything. To get every bit of gold on his shoulders, he battled through tough battles, skeptics, and obstacles. His belts symbolize proof of effort, dedication, and belief in his own talent, and they serve as motivation for the next generation of fighters striving to follow in his footsteps.
I'm just reflecting on all my accomplishments at my mama house. That's where all my belts at. You know, hard work, dedication. Things that y'all favorite fighters, some of them, ain't got. So I see why y'all mad. See why y'all mad, man. Look at that one right there. This where it all started at. Right here. This one. In Texas. In Texas, baby. Don't hate. Just congratulate.
A rising star himself, Virgil Ortiz Jr., praised Crawford greatly for his most recent bout, calling his performance simply stunning. Crawford, according to Ortiz, proved himself fully in that fight and doesn't even need to seek out other opponents to prove his superiority. According to Ortiz, Crawford has already built his legacy and doesn't need to take on any more difficulties in order to be regarded as one of the greatest. This praise from a young, driven fighter demonstrates how profoundly Crawford's supremacy has affected the younger generation, who are now in awe of his accomplishments.
Perfect fight, actually. He neutralized all of Canelo's strengths. He knew that he was going to look for the right hook, because I believe that they've been looking at Crawford being hurt by that right hook before. So he neutralized it. He used his jab really well. He boxed beautifully. And, man, I mean, he did everything right. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Crawford first, because obviously we can get to Canelo later, but in the post-fight, they asked him, a media member asked him if he'd come back down to 154 to fight Boots. Obviously, in the same token, I took it as, all right, Boots or Virgil, right? And he said he's not coming back down to 154. What are your thoughts on him not coming down, and what do you think he will more than likely do next?
I don't know what he's going to do. I did read something that said he'll go down to 160, you know? And I think that is definitely a possibility, and that fight can still happen at 160. And as far as what he's going to do now, I mean, I don't know. He kind of beat the final boss of the game, you know what I mean? Yeah. There's kind of nothing. I don't want to say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, I mean, what else do you got to do? He's a 3-time undisputed champion. He made some good money. At this point, he's just a free player right now, I guess. He can do it.
Boxers from various levels are now eager to criticize Crawford as a result of his influence on the sport. Sebastian Fondora, who is well known for his aggressive style and large body, has previously stated that he wants to fight Crawford. This instance exemplifies what some refer to as the Crawford effect. Everyone wants to test themselves against a fighter who has achieved a certain level of supremacy in order to establish their reputation. Currently, boxers are lining up to challenge Crawford rather than him chasing fights. This role reversal demonstrates the extent of his current influence and power in the boxing community.
Effect is in full effect, okay? It's in full effect. Terence Crawford now is a wanted man. Prior to that, everybody said Terence Crawford is not a draw. Terence Crawford can't sell. Terence Crawford is not a big money fight. Now, we have an interesting situation brewing. The former unified WBA, well, WBO, WBC, junior middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar or star boxer, the towering inferno, Sebastian Fondora, refused to fight Terence Bud Crawford, who is now, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt, the pound for pound king, 4-division world champion. 5-division world champion, 3-division undisputed world champion, with a record of 42 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 wins by way of knockout. When Terence Crawford dominated and stopped The Truth, Errol Spence Jr., in July of 2023, Terence Crawford petitioned to move up and fight the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora. Okay? And Sebastian Fundora has zero interest.
O'Shaquie Foster said that he was taken aback by how Crawford allayed so many concerns about his professional background. Critics for years asserted that Crawford might find it difficult to compete with elite opponents, or that he hadn't encountered enough elite opponents. But his previous triumphs, particularly over Canelo, show that he was capable of defeating even the most seasoned fighters. Foster admitted that Crawford not only dispelled such skepticisms, but also established a new benchmark by demonstrating his value under the most illustrious circumstances. Foster saw Crawford's path as evidence of tenacity, transforming suspicion into unquestionable appreciation.
Yeah, I mean, shit. They definitely doubted, bro. And he told me months ago that he was gonna do that. And he went and did that. That shit, you know what I mean? They doubted him a lot throughout his career, you know what I mean? Just a lot. And just a lot of people that I look at that's great fighters, they've been doubted. You know what I mean? Same thing with Floyd. Floyd, they had the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Shane Mosleys, the Trinidad, they all was putting them above Floyd and all this woo-de-woo. You know what I mean? So I just feel like getting doubted is a great thing. It gives me, you know what I mean, that push. So, yeah.
You think it would look that, I ain't gonna call it easy, but I felt like people didn't think that Crawford could do it that clean. Did that surprise you?
No. It did surprise me that he stayed more disciplined. Like, I thought what was gonna happen was he was gonna do what he was doing, and then, Terrence got hard. He trying to bang it out, especially if he feel played enough. He feel like you feel like you doing something. He gonna come with it tough. So I thought that was gonna be a problem. Like if Canelo landed a punch, he would try to go in the trenches with Canelo, and that's what I would have been scared for him for. But man, that boy stayed sharp all night. Man, that boy looked good. Man, I can't lie, he looked good. Sure, I was definitely surprised at how smooth, how easy he beat him.
Following Crawford's victory over Canelo, Blair Cobbs and Conor Benn expressed their passionate feelings. Ben even went so far as to suggest that Crawford should think about retiring right away, ending the sport on such a lovely high note, while Cobbs hailed the victory as a turning point. Ben's remark was intended to acknowledge Crawford's already comprehensive career rather than to be critical. He believes he has nothing more to prove. Crawford would still be regarded as one of the greatest of all time if he were to pass away today. Their statements demonstrate their conviction that, regardless of what occurs next, Crawford's legacy has already been written in bold.
Should sail out on that beautiful sunset and retire. He's done a lot for the sport, and there's really not too much else that he can possibly do in the sport of boxing outside of make a beautiful retirement and leave a legacy of fighters that aspire to be just as great as Terence Crawford, like myself.
Has Canelo's legacy been damaged after that or not?
Not really. I think that Canelo is still a terrific and a fantastic athlete that's spent a little bit too much time at the table of boxing, and right now is his time to make his exit.
However, not everyone shares a narrative of invincibility surrounding Crawford. Even though defeating Canelo was historic, some commentators contend that it does not imply that Crawford is unbeatable. They draw attention to the fact that there are many other really skilled boxers in the sport who, in the correct situation, might surpass him. They consider Crawford win to be historic but not final. Even the finest boxers can be put to the test, and the sport is still unpredictable. This viewpoint serves as a reminder that, despite Crawford's amazing achievements, there are always new risks in sports. Therefore, the discussion about his historical significance will never end.
In another division, that's not the move. If he goes back down there, he's the best guy in that division. I think it's safe to say that. But I do think that a lot of those guys will be very interesting and potentially difficult style matchups for him. They'll be more difficult than a Canelo fight. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but just go and look at the fight with Madrimov if you don't believe me. Long story short, beating Canelo Alvarez doesn't mean that Crawford is unstoppable or unbeatable. Yes, he's one of the best fighters of this division, one of the best fighters ever with his achievements, but it doesn't mean he won't lose before the end if he fights the wrong guy. At the very least, it doesn't mean he won't have a harder fight than that Canelo fight. And to finish this video, do I think that he's better than Floyd Mayweather? Do I think now that he would beat Floyd Mayweather if they were to compete at 147? Well, I think Crawford at 147 is the best Terence Crawford in terms of his attributes, his style, and the strength and power he has at the weight. I think he's probably unbeatable at 147 in this era. It's because he's going up the weight style we're even having this conversation, to be honest with you. But I do think he's an all-time great. I do think he's in the conversation, which is the best you can do, because we can't definitively say who beats who in a fantasy match. That's why I really don't like them. I've been asked a few of them recently, and I just, without studying and then without actually getting the chance to see it, I just don't really like going there. But we'll do it at the end of this video anyway. It's definitely a conversation to have whether or not he's better than Floyd Mayweather, because he's done it without these rehydration clauses. He's done it. He hasn't really cherry-picked, although I would say, to be fair, to look at Crawford's record, he has fought a lot of guys where it's been the very end of their career at welter. You know, Sean Porter, Amir Khan, Kell Brook, they're all great names, but none of them were in their prime anymore. But Crawford did it so emphatically, and the way he beat Errol Spence as well. Again, he'd had his issues, but again, the way he did it so emphatically, the way he passes the eye test every single time, you have to assume that he's going to do it no matter who he's facing. I do think a fight between him and Mayweather would have been very, very difficult to call.
That concludes the video for today. Keep an eye out. Till the next occasion.